One of my bucket list projects is to make a vampire castle. I got this Warhammer Fantasy Vampire Counts book. Every time I look in here, I find something new. Like this model, a Black Knight Standard Bearer, that's pretty sick. I actually have these guys, and I've been wanting to use these for a while. I'm mostly interested in Mordheim, so I've been making my own vampire Undead warband. They're pirate themed. I thought that would be kind of fun. Pirates of the Caribbean is one of my favorite movies. I love Davy Jones. I built a cog for it, and I decided to make it Undead pirate themed because this unit can be taken by any army. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of put my own twist to it. And so we're going to do that same thing with this vampire castle. Since Adepticon, I've been sculpting a lot. Gargoyles, I'm using bits that we found at the floor at Adepticon. I also snagged a gold medal from one of my friends who won a Mordheim tournament. While I was sick this weekend, I sculpted a bits kit for my pirate warband that I think turned out really cool, and I molded and casted that up. I haven't had a chance to glue them on yet, but here's a quick look at how they look right now. I think they are turning out really sick. When I went to Adepticon, between the freeway and the convention center, there were so many different types of cathedrals that were really inspiring me, and so I don't really have a plan. I have elements that I want to fit into this castle. So it's kind of a backwards way of doing it, but I've been overthinking this project for so long, and last week I put it off. This week I just gotta get started. And one of the biggest questions I get asked is, after doing some cardboard terrain, like, what do I do next? And the thing I recommend is getting a pack of foam. And we're gonna be using this basically exclusively. You don't need a hot wire cutter to cut XPS foam. I'm going to be doing all with a razor blade. So, not this razor blade. When I start overthinking a project, it's better to just start. I don't think planning out with a template really helps me personally. And I spend a lot of time drawing. So really, it's just kind of a race to get a silhouette that I like, and then I can fill in the details and use the architectural features that I really want. Having a strong silhouette does a lot for my confidence. I do a video every week, so sometimes I don't feel like it's going in a good direction, but I gotta finish the video anyway. But in this case, it looks really good, and all I have to do is fill in the little details. After placing in these architectural details from a dollar store tombstone, I had my son texture and brick this building, and it turned out really great. It's really easy to do stuff like this, and that's kind of why I recommend this foam to begin with. While he was doing that, it gave me some time to 3D model a stained glass window. This is going to be a free STL on my Patreon. You don't have to be a member. You can just go over there and download it. And since I'm on that subject, all my STLs are free over there. So if you've ever wanted to build stuff and wondered where to get files, my Patreon's a perfect place for that. Thank you so much to my patrons. I really appreciate your support. It really helps fund these videos, and I couldn't do it without you. At this point, it's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine to reuse old projects in new builds. And I retired this building. The roof is really cool. So let's integrate it into this castle. So it doesn't quite fit the way it is, but I can make it work. We're just gonna make this castle just slightly more ramshackle. And oftentimes I've noticed that castles tend to kind of look cobbled together anyway. So the fact that this isn't going to be perfect, I think suits our needs even better. So Much like I did on my cog fort, I wanted to make this balcony look like the end of a ship. It's still kind of something that could be built architecturally, but it is a little more fantastical. If you're building a regular vampire castle for your stuff, you can just substitute this out for something a little bit more traditional. I got that from Printable Scenery. It was a shipwreck file. Obviously, I'm not sponsored or anything. Oh, shnubuts sent me this, and no joke, it's amazing. It's of my vampire that actually lives in this castle. And I am so freaking happy with it. 20 minutes later, he sends me this. shnubuts has great Instagram. He does commissions. I'll have a link to his profile in the description. Just look at that. Oh my gosh. The little plume, if it ever loads. So every week I build something, and for the last several weeks I've put this build off because I've been too scared to do it. But this week wasn't much different. If I had built this last week, this castle would look different, and I think if I had put this off another week, it would look different again. I think there's a balance between putting something off and not doing it ever. You will never be ready for a project like this, much like how I felt like I was never ready for a project like this. Now that I've started and I can see where it's headed, I am super excited to see where this goes. Every moment I'm building is a moment I'm questioning myself on whether I can actually pull something like this off. And I live for moments where it's like the in-between stage where I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'd just like to encourage you, if you're putting off a project, try not to. Maybe cook on it, maybe let it simmer, but get it done eventually. Because I'm the biggest barrier for me progressing on builds like this. I'll get off my soapbox. Gotta be the coolest thing I've ever made. And I almost didn't try this week. Kind of the end game for this building. I'm only going to be able to get to the exterior this week. I really think it'd be cool. Hammer in the theme of the pirate vampire, to put some sails in here, and maybe put a figurehead off of the front of this window, pirate flag, and I think that'll kind of bring the theme in together. I used this sketch as a game plan for the rest of the project. I planked out the rest of this top structure just to kind of differentiate it from the rest of the building. I've done stuff like this before. A change in material really helps segregate building structures like this. And the shipwreck file that I used didn't have a planking that went to the edge, so I used popsicle sticks for that. And I thought it would be really cool to put in a figurehead over this window. So I found an old Banshee model that I 3D printed a while ago, and this is just a file I found on Thingiverse. And it was perfect for a figurehead. So I just put it right underneath this post. And I was a little concerned that this styrofoam part would be a little less detailed. So I put some statues and some gargoyles that we sculpted at the beginning of the video around this, just to frame it out and add a little bit of detail where it was lacking some. I cut out some sails out of an old t-shirt, and I just kind of shrink wrapped it around with a lighter, and that really kind of finished it off. I also did the same thing with this flag. Okay, so I just put on the pirate sails for the castle. They're not practical, and they're probably stupid, but it really brings home the theme, and I like the idea of it. So now I gotta coat this thing with PVA glue and spray paint it so I can paint it today. Oh, so much to do, but I'm having a lot of fun. Putting a door here, but unfortunately I have just run out of time this week, so I'll figure that out later. I used dollar store paint for all my terrain builds, and after you get used to them, they aren't as bad as you might seem. They tend to go on with a little bit more pigment, and then they dry out a little bit more subdued. With a black base coat, that kind of works to your advantage though, kind of unifying all the colors, and I really like going for a really yellow sandstone type look for my bricks, just because that's kind of what I've seen in my reference photos. And then for my wood, I kind of go for a grayish, like dead, like dried out plank type look. And then for all the architectural details like statues, windows, I go for a green, and that is for a couple of reasons. Oh, and the roof, as you're seeing here. I think it's a nice pop of color. It's also my favorite color, so it's pretty prominent. But for playability's sake, it's really nice to just say all windows you can see out of that are green, you can just shoot out of, and you get some cover, and it makes playability just a little bit easier. I freehanded some bat wings on the sails, just kind of as an impromptu decision, and it did turn out pretty cool. And then I did the pirate flag on top. It took a couple tries, but it was a good thing that the flag was black so I could correct all my mistakes. And basically, we're done. This thing turned out really sick, and yeah, I'm super happy with this, and I'm really excited with the direction this terrain board is going. I really appreciate you watching to the end. Only 50% of people who watch my content is subscribing, and I would really appreciate you helping me out. We just hit 8,300 subscribers, and I really appreciate all who come back each week to watch these videos. Thanks so much. Free STLs on my Patreon. I hope you have a good one.